So I'm going to be taking a look at Aphria, and I'm going to be doing a fairly deep look into it. And I think I'm going to be starting making more of these videos and, taking deeper looks into companies. And basically, if you were not very familiar with the company, or if you're just starting to invest, it will give you a very good sense of where this company is at, where their financials are at, and all of that stuff. So I'll be doing more of these in the future. But anyways, so yeah, we're going to be taking a look at Aphria. I do have some graphs over here, and we're going to be going through their annual report and then through their financials. There are some interesting things in the financials that I want to point out. But anyways, so the first thing that I really want to go over is, before I get into just the annual report and the company in general, the future valuation. So in about a year from now, you can expect this company to be worth about $1 billion in US money based on the number of shares that they have. So if you take the number of shares that the company had over the past few quarters, which I did right here, and you graph them, and then you project the graph about a year ahead, make sure that the graph is fairly accurate. But if you project the graph in about a year ahead, you're going to be able to get the amount of shares roughly that the company will have in about a year. So with this model, this graph that I made, it's just the number of shares over the past few quarters, plus this dot is the number of shares currently, so the trend line is fairly accurate. So we get 221 million shares in about a year, which is when legalization is going to take place. Now we're going to say that they have 200 million shares, just to be conservative. I don't want to overshoot anything, but at 200 million shares, this company is going to be worth $1.334 billion in Canadian money, and that's about 1 billion US. So at that price, it's not necessarily a cheap company, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that it could double or triple within the next few years. So it still can, the shares can gain value in the near future. And by the near future, I mean 1 or 2 years. But anyway, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to go through the annual report, the 2016 annual report, and I did read all of this, and I highlighted some main points in here. So yeah, let's get going through this. Okay, I need to zoom in probably so you guys can see better. I think this is good enough. Okay, that's good enough. Can I hide this? I can. Okay. Anyway, so Aphria currently is working on their Part 2 expansion, and they're going to be producing about 6,000 kilograms of cannabis per year of this expansion additionally, so it's pretty good. At the end of their full expansion, whenever that's going to be, they're going to be producing about 60,000 kilograms of dry cannabis per year, and 60,000 kilograms at $1 per gram profit. Whenever this is fully finished, at $1 per gram profit, which is lowballing it, that's going to be $60 million profit a year. So it's not bad. It's, if they can actually, whenever they succeed doing this, they should be worth a decent amount. And okay, so a lot of people complain about so Aphria, the way that they make their warehouses, they have not warehouses, greenhouses. The way that they make their greenhouses, they have. Are there any good pictures? There's no good pictures in here. Here. So they have the greenhouses that aren't inside. Canopy and other companies have indoor greenhouses, which are more expensive to make, more expensive to maintain, but they give you better production per square foot. And Aphria has these outside greenhouses, which are fairly dependent on the weather, but they are much cheaper to build. So some people on Reddit, which is where I spend a lot of time at, but some people on Reddit were worried about this. But you can be assured that the management did take into account this concept, and that they're building the greenhouses so that they are more efficient. And gross margins, I'll get into that a little bit. So cost per gram, there's some things about how they do their measurements of cost per gram and stuff like that. Not want to look over that, but anyways, let me really quickly go to the greenhouses. I just want to highlight that. It's over here. Okay. So Aphria has these greenhouses which are outside, and they're cheaper to build. So they're about $55 per square foot to build. The indoor greenhouses, which is what some other companies are doing, they're $250 to $300 a square foot, which is significantly more expensive. And also maintaining them is significantly cheaper. The fertilizer cost is only 2% of what an indoor house would cost you to make, and the electricity is significantly cheaper as well, because you don't have to light it, you get a lot of sunlight, and it's more efficient. Now, the growing per square foot is probably not as good, but these greenhouses are better according to the management. The management has done all the calculations, or we assume that they have, and this is better. So, they can expand faster for less money, which is good. Okay. Moving on, we're going to go back here because I skipped some little parts. So currently the cost per gram, all in, meaning sales and all of that, is $2. It's about $2. It's going down over time. It was $2.22 in quarter 3 of 2016. Quarter 4 of 2016 is 208, and later I will be looking at financials, and it's going to be similar there. We're going to be looking at more up-to-date financials in a bit, but I'm just going over the annual report because it has more information. So cost per grams are pretty cheap. They have a gross margin of about 75%, 70 to 75%, which is really good. And if they can expand all the way at that margin, then they will have a lot of room for profit. So this margin is really, really good, 75% basically. It's pretty good. And quarter to quarter, they had a 6% improvement, largely related to allocation of fixed overhead cost. And what this means is that as this company expands, they are driving their costs down, which is good, which is something that you want to see. And in the future, when they expand even more, if they keep on driving the cost down, then they're going to actually start making some profit, because right now they're not really making that much profits. But in the future, as they expand, they should be driving down their costs, which is over here. They are also focusing on securing ties with Canada's veteran and first responder population, which is good. They have, this is good for now. Just something to throw out. You have some information on cost per gram, how it's calculated and all of that, which is good. Aphria has some of the lowest cost per grams in the industry, which is good. They address the whole idea of competition. So as everything gets going, I don't think that a lot of people realize this, but not all of these companies are going to survive. Some of these companies just fundamentally are not going to have a long-term success, and that's going to probably take a while to actually become apparent. But some of these companies are going to fail. It's just natural of business that some companies fail. And Aphria does address that, this is a business, and a business always has the potential to fail. So just keep that in mind. We have our greenhouse stuff over here. So currently Aphria only has a single facility. They are planning to expand to more facilities, but currently they have plenty of room to expand in their current facility. And yeah, so they are continuing to improve. One of the things that has improved is continued improvement of grams sold per order. So that's interesting. People are ordering more, but some categories of people are not reordering, so the reorder rates are going down. Just something to consider. We're not going to be looking at that. Selling general administrative. So their expenses are going up, which is to be expected. They're expanding right now. Expenses are going up, but they're getting more money from investors, so that's not necessarily a problem. And that's expected. That's part of this model, the share model, so that's fine. I highlighted a lot of things here and had something to say about them. One of the interesting things is that for some reason they only had $2 spent on research and development in one quarter. I don't know what's up with that. Doesn't really matter. Also, just something for everybody to consider. Whenever a company like this expands, so you can see over here that executive compensation increased at the end of 2016. Bonuses and payments to executive officials increased, and as a company gets bigger, the executives get paid more. So it's a little bit of a conflict of interest. It's not really a conflict of interest, but just understand that if these companies can expand, they will, because the people that run them get paid more if their companies are bigger. Just something to consider. I don't think that a lot of people realize this, but it's kind of an important deal. Their share-based compensation is increasing fairly significantly, so they are paying their employees more with their shares, which is interesting. Not something that's necessarily. They are acquiring land from other people. They're acquiring other facilities, acquiring more land for future expansion. Not something. They spent 6.1 million to acquire 90 acres of greenhouses. So good, I guess. I mean, it's expansion. What is this? I don't know why I highlighted this. Oh yeah, by the way, their operations are finally making profit. So that's what this is about. I thought that I would have more interesting commentary on this, but not really. Okay, so that's over. This is financials. So we're going to move into financials in just a bit. So I was trying to make a graph to illustrate how profitable they've been becoming over the past few quarters, but in making this graph, I was fumbling through the financials and I got a little bit confused, so I had to go clarify for myself. But looking at the financials, so this is the management discussion and analysis from quarter 3 of 2016. They currently do not have a 2017 quarter 3 released yet, but they do have the management analysis and discussion released on some websites. It's not on their website, I don't know why, but it is available, so here it is. Now, okay, so when making this graph to graph their profits over the past few years, this graph is not accurate, by the way. I messed it up because I was doing some things and I gave up on it, but okay, so here are the sheets. Let me zoom in. So here are the sheets. So the company takes in a certain amount of revenue by selling marijuana. They have a certain cost associated. They have certain costs associated with taking that in. So they make a certain amount of gross profit, right? And then after the gross profit, there's a certain amount of expenses that go into, selling everything, management, employees, all of that stuff. After there's a certain amount of expenses, you get your net loss or net gain from your operations, which is what we're interested in. They also make some money from financing and stuff like that, but that's not really what we're interested in because this company is not, in the market of making money from financing. If they make money from financing, it's good, but it's not. I don't consider it too relevant. So initially, I was making a graph of this, but then it got interesting towards the end, which I'll get into. But anyways, so quarter 1 of 2016, they lost 524,000 from operations, right? Quarter 2 of 2016, $431,000 lost from operations. Quarter 3 of 2016, $83 lost. Quarter 3 of 2015, what? I'm all over the place. Anyway, moving on. You get the point. But at a certain point here, they started making profits. So this is quarter 1 of 2017. I have some of the quarters closed, which is why they're not in the proper order. I had all of them open up, but I closed a few of them, so they're not here. But anyways, so quarter 1 of 2017, they made from their operations, they made 787,000, which is good, for a total of 895,000, right? Next quarter after that, once again, they made 486,000. This is quarter 2, this is quarter 1, right? I'm just making sure that this is in the proper order because I had the order in a weird way. Yeah. Anyways, they made 480. They made not 486. Yeah, 486,000 from operations, $945,000 total. So they made a lot more through finance income and gain on sales of investments. And then we have this final quarter right here. So this is the management discussion and something that I found interesting in it. So they had a revenue of $5 million from their operations. Now this was the cost of goods, cost of sales, so they had a gross profit of $3.5 million, 70%, which is still pretty good. Then we look at the expenses, which are down here. If you look at the expenses have significantly increased in the past quarter. So we have an oddball expense right here. Impairment of intangible assets, that's just an expense associated with another company. This is a one-time expense, so we're not really going to look at it too much. But these other expenses add up to about, what, $4.7 million, I think? 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, it's about $4.7 million. So these expenses add up to $4.7 million. Now, they only had $3.5 million in gross profit, so they lost over $1 million on their operations. However, they still made $4.9 million during this quarter. So that kind of caught me off guard. I was surprised that this happened. And if you look closer into it, you can see that $8.8 million was generated on gain from long-term investments. And I don't know, I'm surprised by this personally. It's good that Aphria is making money with their investments, but it's just something that is surprising. So with this company, you want to see their operations income constantly rising, and this is one quarter, so I am being picky here. We only have a few quarters to actually look at where this company is doing stuff, so it's not like this is particularly the end of everything. This is only the first few quarters. We probably need another year or two worth so you can actually get a decent picture. But I'm being picky here, obviously. But you know, it's a reasonable it's a reasonable thing to look at. But anyways, so they're losing money from operations all of a sudden in quarter three of 2017, which is weird because they've been making money from operations previously. They're losing money now, but they're making money off investments. So I don't know where this company stands. This company is investing fairly aggressively into other companies. It's over here. So where is it? So Aphria has a bunch of other companies that it's currently invested into. And it kind of acts like an investment bank. It invests into a bunch of smaller companies and tries to make a profit. And it did a fairly good job of that. At quarter three of 2017, they made what, what was it? I forgot. Let me just, $8.8 million off their investments, which is really good. But they're not making money off their main thing, which is growing. Now, it is given that it's still in the early stages and they're still expanding, so I am being a little bit picky here, but I don't know, that's just something interesting that I find. And I don't know, how do you, I don't know, it's something that I find odd. Let's see, what else was there? We had that $3.5 million expended. I think that's really all that I really had to pick beef with around their financials, is that they had some interesting financials in the sense that they were going up. They started losing money on their operations. They started making money, and all of a sudden they're back to losing money. So I don't know, something that I found interesting. This graph is not good, by the way. But yeah, so interesting quarter financials. So basically, Aphria right now is at the point where they're making money, but they're not making money from the thing that you would expect them to make money from, which is weird. It's not something that you would expect to happen. What else? So yeah, I think that's all that I really had to say. I thought that I had more to say, but that's really it, guys. So I'm trying to give you a full picture of the financials, and I think I did. So hopefully this helps. I thought that this would go on longer than it actually did, but it didn't go as long. Anyways, if this helped, leave a like, and that's it.